Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper right hand corner we have Liquid TLO as the red Terran. Bottom left hand corner, once my computer figures things out, we have Incontrol as the blue Protoss. This is on Crossfire SC, which I'll talk about in a second. But just so you guys know, this is the final match, or at least I'm going to treat it as thus. There's a replay missing from this set. I think at this stage it is tied 2-2. And I'm not sure if it was in the group stages or if it was actually in this set of match where Incontrol managed to sneak a pylon inside TLO's base. And it might have been. I know that happened at some point during the day at MLG Dallas, but he's starting bottom left hand corner, blue Protoss on Crossfire, which is one of those maps. It's larger, and as a result, scouting can be somewhat more difficult. On top of that, there's a lot of open room for TLO. I would say it's a newer map, and I think it behooves Incontrol to go up, get some scouting accomplished, maybe even open one gate robo on this map in particular, because it's got such a sizable space that you can work with. You can, because of the distances, rush is a little bit harder to execute. But again, this is TLO, and he's fantastic at finding those little timings. He's fantastic at building these incredible build orders that just completely and utterly befuddles his opponent. Let's see if he's going to be able to do so again. And it's going to behoove Incontrol, I would say, particularly looking at the prior matches when he was able to execute a gas steal and how that affected TLO and his play. I would say it behooves him to do so again. It looks like an SCV already taking considerable damage. It's too bad, again, that the cumulative damage on these SCVs does not result in an utter kill. In the meantime, Incontrol back in his base, just chrono boosting probes out, has that gateway up, has that assimilator up and running. TLO is tacking on a refinery as well. And it looks like it has taken some damage on that SCV. It's back in the lines and just kind of wandering around. Incontrol doing a fantastic job of providing some harassment, getting good scouting, and it looks like another SCV moving out. Incontrol actually pressing forward. Never mind, coming back. Incontrol actually befuddling TLO a little bit. He's having trouble exchanging and moving around these SCVs, and it looks like that initial damaged SCV is going to be the forward scouting SCV. Now that first Marine out, and this is going to be a critical juncture for Incontrol. How long is he going to be able to stick in base? And it looks like he is, in fact, going to go for a gas steal. Nice. And this is going to force again TLO to play a little bit more mineral heavy, and as a result Marine heavy to start. Is getting an orbital command center. First Marine is out, and Incontrol able to sneak that out. But also I don't want to completely ignore the fact that this SCV has taken some damage. So if Incontrol opens Stalker first, which he should be able to, particularly with the gas steal on top of everything else, that he should be able to limit information to TLO, although it looks like he's already revealed that he is in fact going for a second assimilator. So first Marine, an interesting attack lab, and let's see if he goes Reaper first. It looks like in fact he is going Reaper first, and I like this to provide some additional scouting information across the field. Also try to provide a little counter pressure against maybe sentry early builds, some sort of defensive protective thing, which this map, even though you don't need sentries that early, and it looks like we are going to get a sentry fairly early on, even though you don't need them, it helps to get sentries out early just to build their energy, because across all of the artifacts, look at all these map artifacts and look how many ramps there are. So Reapers do very well opening against sentries 1v1. On top of that, they can provide some of that counter pressure and just distract Incontrol, keep him from putting pressure on this natural expansion if he decided to do so. I assume not, again, because of the length of the map. But on top of that, it provides some of that nice scouting information. It looks like he's moving across the 9 o'clock. The sentry just providing a nice little barrier there, chrono boosting additional sentries out. Again, in Incontrol, very uncomfortable, and this I think is more a testament to TLO's ability to play. It looks like an initial probe is going to spot this Reaper, so maybe be in a better position. Let's see if Incontrol continues with the sentry play. Actually, he's getting a Zealot out to follow, and he's just going to rely on 2 sentries. Even they're a little bit slow, though, is the difficulty. And it looks like a follow-up, so it is going to back up. A follow-up Marauder now for TLO, as well as additional barracks. That command center about 3/4 finished, and that assimilator nearly down, so he will be able to take that additional gas. But at the very least, he's been forced to more 2-base style. And on top of that, this initial Reaper, which I actually lost track of it. Did he get killed? I don't think the initial Reaper died. Okay, there he is at the Zelnaga Watchtower. A little bit of trouble there finding him. I like this positioning at the very least to sneak these probes off. Again, deny information to Incontrol. Still playing map control with that Reaper, doing a fantastic job of doing so. Additional barracks now up. 3 Marauders on the ground, so it looks like it's a very Marauder heavy opening, although these barracks could very quickly turn into Marine pushes, and still no second gas. So maybe a long-term economic style. Looks like Stimpack is already finishing in its upgrade cycle. Engineering Bay also out, and Incontrol already moving out to take a natural expansion. He wants to play the long economic game, wants to take that early economic lead. Comsat there from TLO. He sees the 3 gates, and that really doesn't provide a lot of information. That just lets him know, hey, there's 3 gates, maybe a lot of troops coming out. And Incontrol starting to press forward, and the way I don't think TLO is going to take this super seriously because he didn't see a probe along that attack force. And if you don't see a probe, you have, oh, never mind, he actually is building 2 bunkers on the front, realizing, okay, there are a lot of troops, there's 3 gateways, it's possible that there's a large attack moving out. Incontrol is just kind of bluffing this and wanting to put on pressure on that natural because he's already gone Nexus first to start, but just testing that front door, it looks like Marauders also do not have that concussive shell upgrade to really pick at these troops. So this is a very safe pressure attack for Incontrol, and still no probe. Again, without that probe, he can't put that proxy pylon, he can't warp units in, really make that a legitimate full-scale attack. But that did force additional bunkers that will slow TLO down a little bit. Granted, he can recycle them, but that's 100 minerals he's not using now, at the very least. And on top of that, that's going to pin him. He's not going to take this natural expansion just yet. He's going to sit back. There's the comp set for TLO. He now knows, oh, okay, well, now he has the natural, so momentarily probably should empty these bunkers and probably lift up to take that orbital command. Also tacking on 2 additional gateways, going very Marauder heavy here in the mid game, is actually taking a big upgrade lead. This is very early weapons 1. So perhaps thinking about some sort of push attack. The problem with this, though, is because there's so many sentries out early, it's going to be very difficult to go to the ground and do this. He's really going to need to do it with dropship play. And the question is how does Incontrol cope with that? And interesting, TLO leaving the bunker down, deciding to tech a little bit heavy, and is happy just to drop mules and go with the SCVs initially. Incontrol already at 2 base. Economically, he should be somewhat ahead just because of that once those mules fade away. And it looks like he's well, behind because of the mules, but we'll see what happens once they shift off. Robotics Bay going to move up to that Colossus. Colossus also very strong on this map because, again, the map artifacts are able to work with. Now TLO moving out to that natural expansion, recycling the bunker is going to take that low ground. And again, I'm kind of curious to see what he does with the airplay because dropships can be very, very effective. Interesting pylon here in the 9 o'clock location, just kind of guarding that gold base, and also providing a later game option. Also playing very safe, additional bunker, additional missile turret, just because he doesn't feel like he has enough information. Incontrol also in a nice defensive posture. You see he's got the sentries to blockade here, and also in case there's a swing around attack, he can delay a little bit, pull back, get the sentries down from the north, and have a combined army to defend his natural expansion. Just rolling still off the 3 gateways, is waiting for those Colossi to get up and running. But again, it's kind of that critical choice. Okay, Medivacs to provide mobility and go for drop options, or Vikings to deal with the Colossi early for TLO. And that's really going to be a big critical decision. I assume he's going to go drop ships to start because he does have that level 1 weapons, and he does have and he has level 1 armor also upgrading momentarily. Factory now pushing off. Thermal Lances also upgrading. So now we see that starport in position. This is, I think this is going to be a pretty key moment. Observer also moving up for Incontrol, and that can provide a lot of vital information if you can swing it around to the main. There's the 2 medevacs to start. So, and let's see how, now the question is does Incontrol run out and try to take a very aggressive 3rd base, or is he going to press forward and get kind of caught out of position? And this is where he's in a difficult slot, I would say. It looks like he is thinking about taking that gold base, because if you look at any option for your 3rd, it's way, way far away from your initial 2 base opening. And it looks like his answer is going to be Stargates. Very interesting. Let's see if I can find it to point it out. There's Stargates at the corner. Phoenixes could really neutralize that medevac drop capability. On top of that, help protect against the Colossi later. And it looks like, wow, TLO going to move out. He's got level 1 shield coming up online with this attack. So medevac's moving forward. He wants to put on some pressure. Again, it can be difficult to execute unless he swings around from the far right, just because these sentries can at risk split this army in multiple portions. That Stalker going to see these troops. And I love what TLO doing, only a single Marauder and a single medevac, providing that information, very little information for Incontrol, but I think he has an observer somewhere that he can move up to also get good eyes on this army, to not really be caught off guard. So this is actually a significant threat. Looks like a forge down for Incontrol to try to catch up on those upgrades as well. And there's TLO loading up for the drop. I think there's already a Phoenix somewhere out in the field, though. Actually, never mind. No, it's just now building. So this looks like this medevac drop is going to be a significant threat. Has positioning to work with. Moving in from the north, split a little bit in half. There's the Colossi to engage all that on the right. The Zealots providing a nice buffer. And so with this army split from TLO, he's actually having difficulty engaging. Doesn't have any high ground spotting anymore, and actually having to back off. Nicely defended by Incontrol. Good Guardian Shield as well. And now with the Phoenixes in play, TLO's ability to execute these drops is going to be greatly diminished. Trying to do something kind of creative with that army positioning, but just ended up getting crushed in nice force fields on Incontrol to really limit the movement of those troops, pin them back. It looked like the Marauders were just sitting there getting annihilated. So, and that's a big, I cannot emphasize how significant that attack was. Finally now a switchback to Vikings for TLO. Incontrol feeling confident now with the Phoenixes up in the air. He can take that bottom right hand expansion Nexus is going to be up and loading, and a couple of pylons as well, and this is going to be critical actually for Incontrol to keep this observer pinned to, wow, all these medevacs. He needs to keep a strong eye on these medevacs and make sure he does not get caught out of position because he's got a lot of territory to cover. It looks like TLO starting to move out once again. Wow, and that is a lot of Colossi with Thermal Lance upgrade to work against this as well. Level 1 weapons should be online shortly for Incontrol to also provide some additional boosting defense. Again, TLO loading up with one medevac, and that's the thing, he can load up with a lot of this. Incontrol knows this is moving up to the 9 o'clock location. Let's see if he's going to have a Phoenix or a handful of Phoenixes or even some defense troops to deal with it. A pylon being, oh, this is really risky on this probe's part. No probe. Some Marauders moving out to the 3 o'clock. Also the drop swinging around the 9, so it's going to be a dual-pronged attack. Incontrol going to have to defend multiple locations at once, and he's only going to have 4 warp gates worth of troops to really to unleash, essentially. So now the Marauders working at this pylon here, also the attack moving, and the Phoenix is actually moving out to location, so it looks like they're going to deal with these Marauders here at the 3 o'clock, save this additional base, but this is going to unpower the Stargate, maybe take the Stargate out as well. So TLO is not going to come out of this empty-handed, does manage to take the Stargate out, also able to sneak out with that medevac, so able to slow down Incontrol at least in some regard, but there's still plenty of Phoenixes out in the air. Let's see if he can actually charge forward and kill this medevac. Looks like the medevac going to suicide to try to save those Marauders from that lift up. Yeah, they're going to stim pack, run away, and just turn around. TLO going to sacrifice it very intelligently. So 5 Phoenixes moving out. Incontrol really doesn't want more than that, actually. So I don't even know that he needs to. Okay, he is going to rebuild the Star. Actually going 2 Stargates. Interesting. So definitely wanting to go heavy air to provide some padding against the Vikings and really make those. So basically all Viking, all Colossi. Sorry, all Colossi, all Phoenix, really. Lifting up that Marauder once again. So expect him to go very, very heavy with the robotics base. You already got 2 outstaging, and that could be a very formidable attack force and also a very mobile attack force, because Colossi, they can just go up and down that high ground, low ground very, very easily, and the Colossi to support, they can be everywhere at once. They can also maybe even provide a harass attack, which is why TLO has these 2 missile turrets up this upper left-hand corner. So staying equalized, at least economically, up to that 3rd base. I think that 3rd base out a little bit later, and it feels, but at the same time feels less vulnerable than Incontrol's army. Several barracks out, a lot of barracks out. It looks like a total count of 8, although many of them without additional add-ons, so mostly going to be pumping Marines, it looks like. And 3 starports, 1 with a reactor to go very Viking heavy, so it's going to be major infantry. The Colossi are going to be vital, so really the key, the crux of these fights, the crux of these engagements for Incontrol are to be able to babysit those Colossi. TLO with those Marauders needs to be on top of it, sniping them, or with those Vikings sniping them, and trying to chew through, positioning this well. It's going to be an interesting fight nevertheless, and I like this very underutilized sensor tower. Here it looks like a single zealot going to wander up and run into a planetary fortress. That sucks. It's like you run up, an entire building starts attacking you. How much more depressing can you get? It's like you train your entire life. You go to the Protoss Ninja Academy or whatever it is. You get your first shiny Psy Blades, and you're like, yes. And they're finally like, you're going to be deployed. You're going to be deployed on Crossfire. And like, yeah, it even sounds like an awesome planet. You go there, and then you run into a building that attacks you and die almost instantaneously. Sucks. So Incontrol not real. So a comsat right there to get a good look at the composition there, seeing that they're in fact Phoenix. I think from the speed he would have been able to tell. Perhaps I think that was a little bit of a mistake from TLO. He knew what the composition speed was just based on that sensor tower. Didn't really need to expend it. Incontrol going to take that 3 o'clock base, that gold expansion, able to splat. Nice comsat there by TLO. Going to see a heavy Colossus force. He's actually got a formidable army of his own, very well sized. Both players near max economy, but really what it comes down to is the long-term economic stability and basically reproducibility of these armies. Marauders charging out those Vikings not too far behind, and this 3 o'clock base looks very scarily vulnerable, particularly with Incontrol completely out of position. I'm not sure why he was positioning out here, perhaps worried about a drop, but completely out of position to save this base. Incontrol might want to cancel this upon seeing these Marauders moving in. And let's see if he's able to do so. Unfortunately, already has probes on location, a cannon warping in as well, but this is going to be a big engagement while that 3 o'clock base gets hammered. Phoenix is engaging on the Vikings. It looks like they're just taking some free damage. Stalkers now forward, trying to do what they can, engaging as well. They do not have any upgrades. It looks like no upgrades on either side, but encroaching a little bit too far. Marines still able to do damage, and the Marauders actually swinging all the way through. and going to try to contest that bottom right-hand base. Incontrol his army mostly locked out. He needs to be very careful. Colossus exposed to the Vikings needs to be very careful that that does not happen, and taking some damage right there. Comset finding no defenses. He's just going to charge in. TLO not charging into pin. No, now he's charging in to pin and try to get some Colossi from behind. The Phoenix is swinging back around with the Stalkers. Very heads up for Incontrol. Unfortunately, now it's Stalkers versus Marauders right there. Now trying to re-engage the Colossi against a lot of these forces. TLO needs to disengage. Guardian Shield up, but he's choosing to attack instead, and with all those Colossi, that's going to be devastating. Now let's see if he can get those Vikings clearing that Colossi force out. The Marauders and forward retreat. Zealots with charge, wiping that up, but so many Vikings overhead. Looks like they're able to just absolutely ruin those Colossi. Stalkers able to chew through a lot of Vikings as well, and there's those Zealots. Short end of the stick trying to chase this. It looks like they might, yeah, they get 2 Marauder kills out of that after some heavy stim packing and retreat. Incontrol smells blood in the water, is going to continue with this attack straight forward, and almost able to pick off some medevacs, not quite, before the Vikings are able to provide some counter defense. But that was an interesting exchange. Incontrol does lose the 3 o'clock gold expansion, but he can immediately retake it upon holding map control. So yes, it was a loss, but not a huge loss. Getting a Dark Shrine and some Blink Stalkers to provide some additional ability, which I think is absolutely key. TLO realizing, okay, well, I need to try to hold, take and sneak this gold base, maybe shell up a little bit to stay in this economically. Just bringing up the income tab, you can see he's slightly behind, probably because the mule's somewhat down. He is behind in an overall harvester count. That's very normal for Terran, though, at this stage of the map. Incontrol moving up. He wants to deny this base as long as possible, and maybe actually even take an additional one. So take the 3 o'clock, take the 9 o'clock. It's going to be very difficult to defend both locations at once, but he does have TLO in a little bit more of a defensive situation. Hidden probe there, providing some additional scouting information, getting annihilated, but at least he knows TLO may be thinking about expanding, and now Incontrol moving up to the 9 o'clock base. He's going to catch a lot of these medevacs in open field. Oh, that's going to be huge. Now the Vikings starting to engage, but there's several Stalkers underneath, and they're going to push that back, and it looks like there's actually a command center on the ground floating out to provide some from the main, perhaps, build. I'm surprised it's not a planetary fortress actually being built on the ground, but the Marauders doing some damage, pressing forward. Still a lot of Colossi to work through these troops, and TLO just assuming that his 3-3 upgrade, the heavily upgraded Marauders, would be able to shoot through this, but that is not the case. All the Colossi down, but still a huge standing army left over, and TLO trying to land. Incontrol going to try to, sorry about that, trying to gun down. It looks like he's going to work against that planetary fortress. Planetary Fortress does not get taken out. Incontrol swinging back around to do as much damage as possible, lifting off the Marauders. Absolutely genius micro maneuver there. Now the Blink Stalkers blinking in to just continue pounding the damage, and that medevac is not going to get out alive. TLO, he needs to be careful planting that where he is, because he does not have anything to defend this. Incontrol can immediately swing around and deny that. Looks like he's trying to regather some troops and bring SCVs off the line. Looks like there's an EMP somewhere. Definitely going to lose this Ghost Academy. At the very least, Incontrol moving it. Well, I was thinking about moving in reinforcements, but it looks like he's actually going to back off this attack. I still feel like he could do some additional damage and catch a lot. That was extremely dangerous by TLO. Mules, it looks like he's still going to lift off and kill a couple stragglers here, but now going to back off, feeling he has the economic lead, has done the damage he wanted to. Level 2 weapons, level 2 armor. In the meantime, 3 o'clock base is looks like it got flooded out, so I think I missed some. No, maybe not actually. Looks like it might have taken some damage during the midst of that. I'm actually going to go ahead and pause and move back a little bit, and we'll see during a lot of that engagement what happened. Perhaps. Maybe. So actually it's still low on health, so I probably missed something earlier during the staging attack. Just fun at these stage, moving through. Okay, there it's warping in. ×8. I assume what happened is actually these guys and these guys joined out to do some damage. So here's that engagement there. Yeah, that is in fact what happened. Looks like a couple troops moved in and just pounded a little bit away here, but some Dark Templar warping in, and it looks like they managed to halt that attack, very interestingly enough, while all of this was happening up here. Awesome. So let's get back to where we were. A little bit of a digression. Kind of breaks up the pacing. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And continuing. So now the Phoenix is roaming free. This is a very exposed Ghost Academy. I think it's mostly to try to counter the Phoenixes with an EMP, and let's see if he's going to be able to. There's that EMP. Does in fact catch a lot of those Phoenixes. Ghost Academy very vulnerable actually. We're not quite to where we were. ×2, backs off. There we go. Okay. Re-engages. There we go. Okay, back to the match. 3 o'clock base has taken significant damage, but is still holding. Looks like it's going to be Incontrol warping in Dark Templar. Those Dark Templar could be very annoying for TLO. He has a lot of missile turret coverage, but still this 9 o'clock base somewhat vulnerable, also some bunkers, and this is a very difficult position to try to defend, because it's, look at all these high ground pressure points with those Colossi, with those Phoenixes, with those Blink Stalkers. The mobility of the Protoss army in the short range could really be effective in this particular quadrant, and TLO absolutely needs to defend this base, especially because look how many mules he has on top of it. He's running basically all of his mules staging at that location right this moment. And it looks like he's now switching to perhaps battle cruisers, because he's getting level 2 ship weapons. He's definitely thinking about going something, Aaron. Am I missing? No, he's building some starports out to the corner. So thinking about moving up to battle cruisers in this attack. He's actually behind as far as the flat army count goes. And this is a very dangerous situation to be doing a large tech switch like this, particularly when it's vital that you're holding this gold expansion. And I don't think these Marines and Marauders are going to be able to cut it against even 2 Colossi, honestly. With enough micromanagement from the Phoenixes at this kind of corner position. More in an open field, I would say yes, this army would be suitable, but considering just the positioning of this, it's going to be very difficult for TLO. Some Dark Templar running forward, suiciding a little bit, and actually Concussive Shell's still not upgraded. Interesting decision. Now the Phoenix is actually running forward. It looks like they're going to try to dive in, pick off these bunkers, and again, this army just has to sit in the background. Careful, Phoenixes. It looks like they are taking some damage, but they are going to back off, able to clear those bunkers, and that's what I was talking about right there. TLO just has to sit and watch the engagements as he floods down the corner. You can comms at it, but it's very difficult to engage along this kind of positioning. Incontrol has that 9 o'clock base up and running. It looks like we're seeing a drop here to the 9 o'clock as well. Cannon starting to work away at it. And Incontrol's army actually moving all the way back to this position. Let's see if he can warp in some Dark Templar to try to take care of it. The probes get out, so he's not going to lose the probes, but he might lose this gold expansion. Single Stalker warping in. Now the Phoenix is able to dive in. They are going to be able to take out that medevac and perhaps afterwards take everything out as well. TLO doesn't have enough to really punish or take out this Nexus. Zealots quickly, and what does that sound that the Zealots make? It almost feels like they're slicing through Jello. It's like the squishy bleach. It's kind of a weird, killing the Marines in particular. It just doesn't sound appropriate, because I don't know, well, maybe Marines are made out of Jello, and there's something that happens in the Terran prison system that we don't know about. Anyway, TLO moving another Marauder attack force out to the 9 o'clock location. Blockade of Zealots on the ramp to stop them. Nice defense by Incontrol, continuing to wipe them out, and it looks like the Zealot, or I'm sorry, the Marauder is like, ooh, get out of there, and he is going to be able to waddle his way back to safety. But Incontrol right there, going to re-engage several Colossi, able to take out that turret very easily. It looks like he's going to try to re-engage from this corner. Nice force fields to really press that out. The Colossi getting short-range damage, and it looks like this is basically a split army. TLO being, the Dark Templar able to crush that army down below. Now full engagement, but not much left to work with. TLO GG's right there, does not have the economy. He knew it. 9 o'clock base was going to get wiped out. And Incontrol takes the best of 5 at MLG Dallas. Most people consider that an upset. I actually think he had it in him. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.